Hey, all you savvy naturalistas, what is up? And welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you would like to keep up with me, make sure you're following me on all my social media sites. And make sure you check out savvynaturalista.com for all your skincare needs. Miracle Glow Oil as well as Larimar Elixir. And in this episode of the Battle of the Dupes, we will be putting, well, actually it's not a dupe. It's actually a compare or contrast. Side note, I will say it does lean heavily on the dupe side of this, but this is the I don't want to make this video controversial, so I'm going to apologize for anything I say in this video. So I am sorry, please forgive me. If you would like to educate me, just leave a comment down below. With that being said, we will be sort of doing the battle of African American black soap versus African black soap, or initially West African black soap. Side note, I know it's not African American black soap because anyone of any ethnic background can make African black soap. What I'm just saying is African American as it is African black soap, and African American, you know, African American black soap. It was made in America, but it's like African American. I hope I'm making sense. If you feel very triggered by that, I am sorry. I don't know if black people made it. It's only in America. I'm just going by African black soap. Ooh, this is making me cringe. So if it's making you cringe, okay. So, oh, plus Shea Moisture, I just want to say this. Shea Moisture is a black owned company. With that being said, they did sell off half of their company. So technically they are considered a Fortune 500 company, or a Fortune 500 company, because with that they did sell off their company. But we are just going to use Shea Moisture because they're very popular. So that's the only reason why I bought it. So this is the American version. Shea Moisture is an American company. So yeah, this one, and this is the soap. This is the American version, and we will be putting the African version to the test. Now I want to say this. One, it's sort of really a melt and pour soap versus a lye soap. And as a soap connoisseur, while I make soap, I pretty much can tell what type of soap is made, handmade with lye versus one that's a melt and pour. So I know all soaps do have lye in them, but some you use as a melt and pour base, and some you just do the whole process. So one is a cold process and one is a melt and pour. I hope that makes more sense. What I mean cold process, which means all the soaps are cold, and then you add lyes and you soapify it. I hope I'm saying it correctly. I really want to say spoonified, but I know it's soapified. And with this one, you just melt soap, or melt and pour soap base, and then you add any type of additives to it that you like, and then you let it set. And this is the Shea Moisture. So it's really cold process versus melt and pour soap base. For all those soapers out there, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, it's just essentially the battle of African versus African American soap, or American soap. With that being said, let's just get into this. Now, I've heard that the African soap, this soap is from West Africa. I want to be clear. We all know Africa is not a one-off, different flags or regions. So I do want to be specific and say this one is from West Africa. Africa is not an inclusive continent. So yeah, this one is from West Africa, and we know this is from America. You know, even though America has different regions in it and different cultures leaning on different accents, it's American, okay? So just to make this video easier so everyone can understand, I'm just gonna say African American with this soap, and then West African with this soap, so it could be easy for people to understand this video instead of saying cold process and melt and pour soap, because no one will understand that. However, if you are a soaper, you know what I'm talking about. With that being said, I'm gonna show you guys the lather. I actually preferred the lather of the West African soap. It was more of a great lather. I do feel it was a little bit sticky, and I do actually feel that it was a little bit, I don't know, kind of tarry. I would say it wasn't a bad tar, but it was a tar. Now, I've heard with the West African soap that it can burn your skin. I've I've never had any issues with it burning my skin, but some people have, once they've used it on their face, they have noticed their skin is burning. But it does give you a great lather. What I do notice about the African American soap is that it doesn't have a great lather, and I think that's because they add other additives to it. Besides that, Shea Moisture does have a variety of black African soaps, meaning that they actually have one for acne prone skin, have one for severely dry skin, and they have one for normal skin. So depending on what type of soap you are looking for, Shea Moisture does carry that type of African black soap. So they probably added a lot of additives to give it that sort of less of a lather. And I did notice this soap doesn't last as long as the West African soap. So I want to say this, when it comes to smells, I actually do prefer the American version of this soap. Now, depending on who you buy it from, I'm just going to say Shea Moisture because that's where I bought it from. They added a nice fragrance to it. It's a nice scent. You guys know I'm really big on scents being a little too heavy, but it's a nice clean scent. And I like the West African soap because it actually doesn't have a scent at all. It's just a normal block, I would say, just a nice scent. You know, your normal cold processed soaps don't have any scent at all if you don't add any scent, and that this soap does that for me. I think the real difference with both soaps is, even though the African American soap does have a sort of palm ash, if you read the back of the ingredients of your soap, and if you're using the Shea Moisture one, you'll notice that it says black African soap base and then sort of additives like palm ash or whatever type of ash they use. With the West African soap, you will notice that they do actually use ash as an ingredient. It's really a science-based soap that they actually make. I don't know, but it's very science-based. So they add sort of any type of plant ash, whether it's plantain ash, cocoa beans or cocoa pod ash. They dry it out, they burn it, and then that's the type of ash. Now, I will say I did notice, I was a little worried because this is the second time I bought this bar. Now, if you see any type of weird white spots on it, I want to let you know that's sort of soda ash or lye ash from it kind of cooling too quickly. You'll get sort of a soda ash. So if you are put off by that, don't worry about it. Please go into it with having an open mind. If it burns your skin, I don't know, maybe the lye didn't mix correctly in the West African soap. I don't know. But let's put them to the test on camera. I want to say this, my skin has been looking a little oily this week. Many of you know that. So I'm going to do a close-up so you can see how shiny my face look, so we can put these two to the test to see which one is better, the West African or the American one. Let's go. They're going to battle it out. Side note, I'm really excited to do this. Yeah, so let's look at my face. So if you can see, my face has been looking really oily lately. My pores have been showing, and a lot of people say the West African soap or the Black African soap, the original one, is actually really good for oily skin, and it helps with getting rid of eczema and clearing up any type of blackheads you have, any type of breakouts you have. And they have actually said over time that it clears up black spots, and that is included with the African American one as well. So we're going to try both soaps. I've said my experience, but I want you to see on camera what is the differences. They both do help your skin immediately. Okay, so my face is wet, and now I have the soap. I'm just going to lather it for you guys. Just how I do it. So I'm going to oh, I got water in my eye already. So I'm going to lather it. As you can see, really great lather. And we're just going to add it to our face. And then we'll do the other one on the other side. As you can see, this is a great lather. I'm going to autofocus the camera so you guys will hear a little noise. So as you can see, this is the West African soap. It's a really great lather, as I mentioned. Let me give my neck. As you can see, great lather. The scent is not bad. It's just, you know, a normal scent. No fragrance oils whatsoever in it. So next we are going to do the Black African soap with Shea Moisture. Side the African American soap. And I also want to say the black soap, the At One from West Africa, does have sort of like a brown tint to it. I really didn't notice a brown tint with the African American one, I will say. Okay, so this is this one. As you can see, you get a lot of foaming action with this one, but not as much lather. See, can you guys see? It's a lot of foaming, but not a lather. But I mean, I guess you could say lather. It depends on what you see. You know, I did a demo. Okay, so this is my face. Can you guys see? West African. Let me lather this one up so I'm not being biased, because I don't want no one to say you're being biased. So let me lather this one up. I have it right here. I'm going to lather it up really, really well, just to make sure we get it in good, because I don't want y'all saying I'm being biased. So there we go. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Okay. As you can see. Okay. So both soaps are on my face, and now I'm going to rinse my face, and then we could see, what do you guys see? I'm so excited. So let's go. Okay, you guys, so we're back, and this is my face. It is officially clean. I'm going to do a close-up for you guys to see which side you like better. But this is my face. It's really clean. What side do you guys prefer? Here's my chin, my mouth, my nose. Let me turn the light down. Sometimes I feel like the light makes you look way better than what you be actually. Like, a lot of light makes you look good. So here's my face. Here's my chin, here's my mouth, here's my nose, and here's my forehead, and here's my cheeks. Now I am going to dry my face, and then we can do it that way. Okay, so my face is dry. Here's my chin, here's my mouth, here's my nose, here's my forehead, here's the West African side, my cheek, and the African American side. Which one you guys think looks different? To me personally, I will say my pores do look a little smoother on the African American side of my face than the West African side, but my skin does feel softer on the West African side, like really like a silky smooth softness. And this side doesn't feel as soft. This side actually feels drying, and this side feels moisturizing. Like, it added moisture to my face. Like, this side, it looks smoother, but it feels like dry, like brittle. This side feels so smooth. Yeah, this side feels silky. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, so I'm going to put Larimar Elixir on my face. You can find Larimar Elixir at SavvyNaturalista.com. Larimar Elixir does contain blue tansy essential oil. I also want to say there's a little bit irritation on this side. Not enough for me to be like, oh, it's burning. Y'all know it's like slime. Remember when slime was like really popular, and then 5 people burnt their hands, and then the parents was like, no borax. No, you can't have borax because 5 people burnt their hand, or 1. You got somebody burnt their hand from borax or slime, and then people are like, no more slime. Y'all know how that is. So 1 person burned their face, or something happens, a little irritation to the skin because they have like sensitive skin, or sometimes, you know, certain reactions work differently for people, and then it's all of a sudden, no, it's bad for your skin, it burns your skin. So sometimes it could be that. It can also be people have lacerations, and you know, sometimes when you're using different type of skin products and you have lacerations on your face or your skin, it will burn. With that being said, let's just talk about this. There was a little bit irritation on the West African side of my face. All in all, they performed the same to me. The West African, the Real Black African soap seemed to be more soft to my skin. My skin looked supple. It did look hydrated. It felt that way. My pores were a bit more smoother on the African American side of my face. I also want to say, you know, it's still like this side feels really hydrated and this side just feels like dull but with moisture, if that makes sense. So you get a lot more hydrating with the West African soap. With that being said, there is a little irritation, a lot, not a lot, but just a little. Like I really want to start scratching, but I'm like, no need for it. Anyways, with that being said, I also want to say this. I really think it all depends on aesthetic, like what type of soap. Do you want the ugly soap or do you want the cute soap? Some people like the cute one and some people don't. They get put off by the appearance of the West African soap. It's not as aesthetically pleasing. You know, we live in a world where things have to be aesthetically pleasing to some people to believe that they work. That is just how our world works. But yeah, it really just depends on the aesthetics and which aesthetics you like. Do you want just a lump of a soap sitting in your shower, or do you want the cute bar? I also want to say this: the West African soap will last you a lot longer. It's also a little more on the expensive side. So Shea Moisture Bar, depending on where you go, I've seen it at Walmart for $7, but I've also seen it online for $4. So right now, let's just say it's going for $4, because if you Google it, it's going for $4. The West African soap, depending on where you bought it, how you buy it. You could buy it in 10 ounces, 16 ounces a pound, or 8 ounces. I bought 8 ounces for $6. So it's leaning on the little more expensive side with it not being as aesthetically pleasing. People will complain, but it does work wonders. It does hydrate your skin, and it just really depends on what your skin prefers. Honestly, at this point, it does. I find your skin will be just a little more hydrated and soft on this side versus, I mean, the feel of it is like night and day, you guys. Like seriously, this side is very hydrated, soft and supple, and this side is really, it's hydrated, but it's a little dull. And I actually got the Shea Moisture because I want to show you guys which one I got. Even though my face has been a little oily. Look which one, I didn't even look. I actually got the one for severely dry skin. Can you guys see that? Here, let me see. It says, hold on, let me turn the light down. See, it says severely dry skin. I actually got the one for severely dry skin, and for it to not be as hydrating as the West African soap, it's mind-boggling to me. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Battle of the Dupes, and technically it really was a dupe. Actually, one was made in America with a melt and pour soap base, and the original one was actually made in Africa with all natural soaps and, or not soaps, but all natural oils, palm ash, plantain ash, cocoa pod ash, whatever type of ash they use, I don't know, but it was made here. I mean, in Africa, West Africa, with all the nice, good ash. I mean, good stuff, you know, good stuff versus the dupe. With that being said, I think, honestly, if I had to do it again, I would probably go ahead, even like my hands as I was washing, this side feels softer than this side. I kid you not. Woo! But honestly, I think I would just go ahead and buy, I don't know which one I personally would buy. Again, I probably would buy the real one, the West African one. I personally would. It's up to you which one you like and which one you decide to buy. It's a nice to try them both, but I will say you just will get just a little irritation on this side depending on how long you keep the soap on. I had to keep it on a while because I had to do a thumbnail. So yeah, so it was on for like a good minute, so there was some sort of irritation going on. With that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out Miracle Glow Oil and Larimar Elixir at SavvyNaturalista.com. If I was triggering to you, I am sorry. If you would like to let us know more about both of the soaps and how it works, let me know. I do have a lot of cold processed soaps on this channel, so you know I'm a little bit educated on the soap life, but not that much. I'm just not really into it like that. It's a lot of science that goes into soaping, and like real math. Like seriously, if you decide to become a soap person, like you will be doing numbers all the time. You might as well become a mathematician, a biologist, and a nutritionist. As many numbers in biology you do when it comes to making soap. That's all I am saying. And I know this is a rant, but I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in our next episode. Love you so much.